Let's start with our first news. Nate Diaz is not done with Conor and says he is extremely interested in a trilogy fight. He shut down the idea that he has moved on, saying, "No, I'm not done. That's just waiting to happen," calling himself a real fighter. He added that Conor is still great and still dangerous, but he will not be part of a comeback story. Moving to UFC 328, Yaroslav Amosov delivered a big win over Joel Alvarez while dealing with a serious eye injury in camp. He revealed the issue came just weeks before the fight, showing heavy bruising and swelling above his right eye. He said there is no perfect camp. Something always happens, a minor cut or injury, but nothing that stops him from competing, Ronda Rousey has been involved in personal tension with Hunter Campbell, escalating behind the scenes. The situation has been described as personal, with frustrations growing over management decisions and past disagreements within the promotion. Sources suggest the tension has been building for some time and may continue if no resolution is reached. This adds another layer of controversy to the ongoing MMA landscape, where fighter relations and promotion politics often collide. Fans are closely watching developments as both stories continue to circulate across interviews and social media platforms. The Nate Diaz and Conor rivalry remains one of the most talked about matchups in combat sports history. Meanwhile, Amosov's performance despite injury reinforces his reputation as a resilient and highly disciplined athlete in the division. The UFC community continues to debate potential future matchups, especially if timing aligns for blockbuster fights and high-stakes rematches that fans have wanted for years. Promoters are now watching closely as interest builds and negotiations could shape the next era of the sport. Move on to another news. Imavov is sending another warning to Sean Strickland and says there will be no handshakes after their fight. Following UFC 328, Strickland confirmed Imavov is next in line for a middleweight title shot. "Who do you want next?" Strickland said he's been in camp over 6 months with his team and girlfriend who handles diet and training support. He explained they don't travel, don't go out, and stay fully locked in. He added Imavov is next, and he plans to take a short break to recover a broken nose and support Alex at the White House for a historic moment before returning. Imavov responded after losing a decision to Strickland in 2023, promising this time he will knock him out. On X, he doubled down, saying if Strickland talks the same way he did with Khamzat, there will be consequences. He wrote, "They say I take things too personally. Religion, family, nation are not marketing. Every result comes with a price. You'll pay for it." When asked about handshake, Imavov said, "Never. I'd rather die." Henry Cejudo believes Khamzat may have been robbed at UFC 328, speaking on the situation. The rivalry between Imavov and Strickland continues to heat up as both fighters prepare for a potential title run. Fans are divided after the latest comments, with many expecting an explosive rematch if the UFC books it. Imavov's strong words and emotional stance have added more intensity to the middleweight division storyline. Strickland remains focused on recovery and future fights, while keeping his eyes on bigger opportunities ahead. UFC insiders suggest the matchup could be finalized depending on recovery timelines and promotional planning. Both fighters bring contrasting styles, with Imavov's pressure striking and Strickland's defensive boxing creating a stylistic clash. The buildup is expected to grow further as fight announcements approach and media exchanges continue online. UFC middleweight rankings remain highly competitive, with several contenders watching closely for title implications. As anticipation builds, this matchup continues to stand out as one of the most talked about potential fights in the division, with fans and analysts expecting high tension, strong emotions, and a possible statement performance from both athletes once the fight is officially confirmed. The storyline keeps evolving as both men exchange warnings and build momentum toward a potential clash that could define their careers moving forward in the coming fight season ahead. Move on to another news. Concerns are rising for Ian Garry ahead of a potential Islam Makhachev fight. Fans are worried after a video circulating online, shared by Ali Abdelaziz, showing Garry struggling in grappling exchanges with 8-0 PFL featherweight Alexa Pergandi. The clip shows repeated pressure, with coaches telling him high head, stay high head, and he briefly gets controlled during the sequence. Not surprisingly, the video sparked massive debate online, with fans immediately claiming Islam would dominate Garry in a potential title fight. Some reactions on X said he will get steamrolled. Others said the UFC should give the title shot to other contenders instead. However, critics argue the clip is old, taken years ago, and does not reflect Garry's current level or improvements in grappling. Others pointed out that sparring footage should not be overanalyzed, especially when fighters evolve significantly before competition. They also noted that Garry has been actively improving his wrestling and overall grappling game since that footage was recorded. Analysts added that Alexa Purgandi is a highly skilled wrestler with years of experience and competitive success in MMA. Meanwhile, discussion continues over whether Islam would dominate the welterweight division if the fight is officially booked. The conversation also ties back to recent UFC events where predictions were proven wrong in high-profile fights. Justin Gaethje says Ilya clearly did not care for Josh Hooker. Comments ahead of their fight build-up, Ilya was seen reacting strongly during the pre-fight media interactions, showing visible frustration. Overall, the discussion highlights how quickly narratives shift in MMA based on short clips, isolated training moments, and fan interpretation online. While some believe the footage signals a bad matchup for Ian Garry against Islam Makhachev, others strongly disagree and point to context, timing, and fighter development as key factors. Experts emphasize that sparring does not always translate directly into fight night performance, especially when athletes make major improvements between camps. With Islam Makhachev's dominant grappling reputation and Garry's evolving skill set, anticipation continues to build around what would be one of the most talked about potential matchups in recent UFC history. The debate is expected to intensify as fight negotiations progress and more training footage, interviews, and analysis emerge across social media platforms and MMA media outlets worldwide. As the situation continues to develop over time and coming weeks ahead, move on to another news. Joshua Van shocked by Alexandre Pantoja's comments. Joshua Van and Alexandre Pantoja don't have a date for their expected rematch yet, but by the time that fight happens, it sounds like a real rivalry could be developing between them. While talking to Ariel Helwani on Monday, Van took a poke at Pantoja regarding the way he dislocated his elbow. He said, "When I first walked into the gym, they taught us how to fall and not to post your hand like that. He's a black belt and should know how to fall. At the end of the day, this is why the rematch needs to happen, and now that Van has defended the flyweight title, interest is only growing." While talking about his stoppage win over Tatsuro Tita at UFC 328 on Saturday, Van explained why he couldn't sleep that night. "Saturday night, I didn't get to sleep until Sunday night. I have Burmese fans, we've been praying. They left at 5 a.m., then I had to catch my flight, come back. Then my church member came here, and they prayed for me." The situation between Van and Pantoja continues to build as both fighters prepare for a potential rematch that could define the flyweight division. Van's recent performances have shown sharp improvements in striking and fight control, while Pantoja remains a dangerous veteran with elite grappling and championship experience. Analysts believe the matchup brings a classic striker versus grappler dynamic that could shift momentum in the division rankings depending on how the rematch plays out inside the octagon. Both camps are expected to adjust strategies heavily after their previous encounter, and the anticipation continues to rise across MMA fans and media outlets worldwide as discussions about timing and booking progress. Further, commentators have also pointed out that Van's ability to handle pressure situations could be a key factor if the rematch is officially confirmed by the UFC. Meanwhile, Pantoja's experience in championship rounds gives him an edge in late fight scenarios where endurance and composure become decisive factors in determining the outcome of high-level contests like this one that fans are eagerly waiting to see unfold. The rivalry is expected to intensify as Fight Week approaches and promotional build-up continues across social media platforms and MMA communities worldwide as both athletes aim to settle unfinished business inside the cage. Move on to another news. Multiple UFC fighters pull out of the upcoming Vegas card. Nicholas Dalby, who was scheduled to fight Wells at the event, pulled out due to injury. According to reports, Trey Ogden also had to withdraw due to an injury as well. Another update from Dorf states that the UFC is now looking to find new opponents for both fighters as the card continues to shift. Late in the week, for a while now, there has been speculation that a rematch between Conor and Max Holloway is being discussed in the background amid all the Fight Week chaos. Fans have reacted strongly as injuries continue to disrupt major fight cards in Vegas, raising concerns about stability across upcoming events. The promotion is now working quickly to keep the event intact by securing replacements and reshuffling matchups on short notice. Analysts say this kind of late disruption can heavily impact fighter preparation, game plans, and overall performance for athletes stepping in without a full camp. Meanwhile, discussion around Conor versus Holloway continues to grow online, with fans calling it one of the most anticipated possible rematches in UFC history. Both fighters remain iconic names in the sport, and any hint of a booking between them immediately sparks massive attention across the MMA community. The situation also highlights how unpredictable MMA scheduling has become. with injuries forcing constant changes to high-level fight cards. Despite the setbacks, the UFC continues pushing forward, adapting lineups and trying to preserve the overall strength of the event for fight night. Move on to another news. Conor versus Max Holloway is reportedly almost done deal for UFC 329. According to Ariel Helwani, the fight is nearly finalized after earlier claims that an official announcement would arrive within 24 hours, which did not happen. However, he now reports that the matchup is very close to being confirmed. During his show, Helwani stated that he was the first to report Conor's return and the first to mention Conor versus Max, and he remains confident despite outside voices questioning the validity of the claim. He added that while some insiders like Chael and others have denied the reports, and Max has only hinted at the fight in interviews without confirming it fully, the deal is still progressing. Helwani explained that on a recent live show he got carried away with excitement, saying he expected an announcement within 24 hours, but clarified that timing is never in his control. He insisted that the situation is now on the goal line, saying they are extremely close but not officially signed, sealed, or delivered yet. He made it clear that once finalized, the fight will be confirmed, and those doubting the report will eventually be proven wrong. Meanwhile, discussion around Conor continues to intensify, with fans debating potential comeback matchups and long-awaited rivalries. Max Holloway has also been speaking carefully in interviews, neither fully confirming nor denying the bout, but clearly acknowledging the possibility of a major fight coming soon. Interest in a Conor return has reignited massive attention across the MMA world, especially given the magnitude of a potential rematch with Max Holloway. Some fans also continue to bring up Nate Diaz and the possibility of a trilogy fight, despite many believing that chapter was already closed. Still, reports suggest Diaz remains open to big fights, keeping speculation alive about future blockbuster matchups involving Conor. As negotiations continue behind the scenes, UFC 329 is shaping up to potentially feature one of the most talked about fights in recent memory if everything is finalized in time. The MMA community is now watching closely for any official announcement as anticipation builds around what could be a historic return for Conor and a massive clash with Max Holloway that fans have been waiting years to see. Move on to another news. New UFC fights have been officially announced for upcoming cards. Marcel Dorf is reporting that a welterweight fight between Farman Hazanoff and Eric Nolan has been added to the UFC June 27th card in Baku, Azerbaijan. Hazanoff, who is from Azerbaijan, will be making his octagon debut with strong momentum behind him. He recently earned a TKO victory over Abu Rahman Fazilov at an LFA event in November, improving his undefeated record to 5-0. Since joining LFA in 2024, he has gone undefeated with 3 straight wins, showing finishing ability and consistent improvement in each performance. On the other side, Eric Nolan has not competed since last August, when he suffered a submission loss to Bison Sakaev in the second round. That defeat came in Nolan's UFC debut and snapped a 4-fight winning streak he had built prior to entering the promotion. Next up, Drew Dober has opened up about his stance on recovery methods and why he refuses to use peptide treatments despite their popularity among some fighters. During a recent Instagram Q&A, a fan asked him about peptides, and he explained that he had considered them for recovery and healing purposes. However, he said the UFC informed him that using such treatments would require him to be sidelined for 5 to 6 months, something he is not willing to accept at this stage of his career. Dober made it clear that his priority is staying active, getting back to training, and returning to the octagon as soon as possible rather than taking long medical breaks. He also noted that at 38 years old, time is a major factor, and he cannot afford extended layoffs if he wants to maximize his remaining fighting years. In another update from Marcel Dorf, it was revealed that Jeremiah Wells and Tommy Gant are now without opponents for the UFC May 16th card after recent changes to the lineup. Both fighters are currently in limbo as the promotion works to find replacement opponents on short notice. The UFC continues to adjust multiple fight cards due to injuries and withdrawals, leading to frequent reshuffling across divisions. Despite the disruptions, new matchups continue to be added as fighters step in and opportunities open up across upcoming events in different regions. The situation highlights the constant movement within the UFC roster, where injuries, replacements, and debut opportunities shape the evolving fight landscape heading into a busy stretch of the calendar.